Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. Hey guys, today is Tuesday, January 7th, and the energies in the day adds up. You reduce to number 8 vibration. If today is your birthday, happy birthday. So when I got to today's energy felt overcast. Even if it's a super sunny day wherever you are, it feels overcast energetically. And I feel like it feels overcast energetically today because there's a lot of overthinking. There's a lot of thinking happening today. You got questions and you're thinking a lot. And when it comes to the thinking, it's like there's this authentic approach to how you're thinking today. But at the same time, there's another part of you that every time one part of you come up with a solution or a possibility to understand something that you're going through, there's another part of you that comes up like, get that out of here. And it's like there's this back and forth, and it's almost like, not trusting oneself. And that would bring me to the numbers in the day, where today is the 7th. The number 7 is introspective. The number 7 is a rebel. The number 7 wants truth, but the number 7 doesn't trust the truth around it. The number 7 knows that in order for it to get the truth it needs to go inside. So the number 7 would remind me of, the number 7 is ruled by Neptune, and that's Pisces 12th house, and Pisces 12th house Neptune energy. And Neptune energy will help us to gain truth. Neptune energy is a truth. It brings truth if you know how to work with that energy. This is where our intuition, our manifestation, this is where you ask a question and all of a sudden YouTube randomly suggests videos to you that has solutions to that question. That's that Neptunian energy. It's the solution isn't coming to you in a traditional organized way. Where the number 8, on the other hand, the energies in the day adding up and reducing to the number 8 vibration, the number 8 appreciates and respects concrete thinking. The number 8 appreciates and respects organized education. Where with the number 7, you ask a question and inside, like, this knowing came over you because the number 7 deals with the crown chakra. So this knowing comes over you. But at the same time, if you didn't find it in a book, or you can't find some scholar or educated person that society says that, this is our scientist, this is our doctor, these are the people in our society that have the answers. If they're not saying what you're thinking, then you're going to throw it out the window and not feel like it can work. So when it comes to a day like today, I would say to write down everything that comes to mind that seems like some sort of solution. Write it down so you can revisit it on another day. Because on a day like today, it's going to be, there's a back and forth, like I said. There's one part that says, what is the reason for this, that, and the next? And then this knowing comes over you. But the number 8 energy, ruled by Saturn, says that who do you are to think you know that? Who do you are to think you know that when you're not an authority in society? And it's like, hell yeah, I'm an authority in society. I'm the main character in my world, within my world. And, I'm an authority in my world. So this is where we have to learn to trust ourselves. So Saturn is the ruler. It's not the ruler of the day. The energies in the day adds up and reduces to number 8 vibration, which is associated with Saturn energy, but Mars is the ruler of the day, and Mars is in Cancer. Mars retrograde in Cancer at 29 degrees. With Mars in Cancer at 29 degrees, that is an intense degree. When I think of Mars in retrograde in Cancer, first of all, Mars don't even want to be in Cancer in the first place, because Mars wants to give the business. Mars wants to kick butts and take notice later. Mars wants to get active. And Cancer energy is too chilled and too hidden, where Mars want to go outside and get active. So at 29 degrees, it brings me to the thought of, I imagine in yesterday's video, I said something about, was that what I was saying it about? I'm not sure. But now when I'm looking at Mars retrograde in Cancer, intuitively looking at the T-square being made to Pluto in Aquarius and the moon in Aries, this energy here for me feels like boiling under the surface. It feels like boiling under the surface. It's like there's some kind of a challenge to a certain extent that's creating some boiling under the surface. I like that Neptune though is positively aspecting Mars, because we're getting some kind of an intuition or truth to a thing. But at the same time, this energy here would bring me to say something happening in the world that would cause us to want to react. And there's a part of us that's seeing the truth. So it's like, say something happens in the world and maybe the government did some wild stuff. And there's a part of us that feels like this is BS. This doesn't make sense. That's the number 7 energy, with today being the 7th. That's Mars positively aspecting Neptune. Just intuitively, something ain't right. I don't know what's going on, but I just know what they're saying is not the truth. You know, that's what that energy is saying. But then with the T-square of Mars, there's another part of us that's getting boiled up under the surface and feeling like, well, I should retaliate. We should retaliate. This calls for retaliation. So it's like the collective thing to do seems like retaliation, but is brewing under the surface. But at the same time, intuitively, we know something's not right. It's like, it brings me to the 2020 lockdown energy, where it's like, I don't know, when I first heard everything, I just knew that I just don't buy what I'm hearing. It just don't add up. Even though I'm hearing one thing and on the news they're showing another, everything in me just said, no, that's not the truth. And something about today's energy feels that way, whether it's on a grand scale or it's on a smaller scale in your personal life, where maybe, say, something's happening within the family environment, within the home, within the family, and you're being fed one thing, but there's a part of you that's like, no, that's not what it is. They're saying this and that, but everything in me is saying no. And you want to trust that no. And if you don't know what to do in a situation where you're in a position where you're called to do something, if you don't know what to do, always do nothing. It's better to do nothing than to do something and wish you did nothing. Hey guys, I want to share with you 7 benefits of getting a numerology natal chart awareness coaching session. The first one is understanding your internal programming. The second one is becoming more clear about your purpose and passion. The third is setting goals for success. The fourth is awareness of strength and areas of improvement. And the fourth one was foundational for me, because whenever you're aware of your weaknesses, no one can use them against you. And when you're aware of your strengths, that makes you unstoppable. And that is why I say self-awareness is a superpower. The 5th benefit is removing obstacles. We first have to become aware of a thing in order to remove it in the first place. The 6th benefit is understanding relationship dynamics. We don't have to change the people in our lives. We have to become aware of ourselves and start from there, and everything changes. And the 7th benefit is upcoming transits, if that's something that you would like to look into because you're planning for something or you just want to be aware. So if you're interested in booking a numerology natal chart awareness coaching session or learning more about it, the link to book or the link to send me an email for questions are both within the description box below. When it comes to the spirit guidance, Okay. So I guess this card was up, but because the rest are down, but it was up and it popped up, and we have the fire ant in the upright position. The fire ant brings me to community, but what I'm getting from this energy in this moment is groupthink. Groupthink and the danger of groupthink. The danger of groupthink. And I think, like, unknowingly, I always knew this even as a kid, why maybe it's past life experiences or current. For me, past life experiences are really current life experiences, life that I'm living in other realms and dimensions simultaneously to this one. And like the butterfly effect, they're all feeding into each other. But for me, I've always been afraid of groupthink. I've always been afraid of groups, because within groups, like if everybody gets possessed with group thinking, ish could go wild. Brings me back to the whole 2020 lockdown, where think about how we, majority of the world was so possessed, enchanted with this group think that encouraged people to make decisions that they that they wish they had done differently, but only time could have allowed a person to really see that they were right for trusting themselves to begin with. Only time. But when it comes to today's energy and the fire ant brings me to something about the masses, the collective, the masses and the collective. And with the number 8 added being, the day adding up or reducing to the number 8 vibration, the number 8 is a collective energy. It deals with systems and cycles. And when we look at our lives, systems govern all aspects of our lives. But when you look at overall, like you're born in this world, you go to school, what you aspire to be and all of that, there's been systems set in place to inspire us, to encourage us, to motivate us to go a certain way. And you'll follow the system, but then you'll feel broken because you did everything right, but you're still miserable. And it's like, I'm confused as to why I'm miserable when I did everything right. And it's like, you're miserable because the path you followed didn't belong to you. The path you followed did not belong to you. So something about today's energy brings me to the importance of not getting drunken by the group think, not thinking what they think because they think it. I remember after the lockdown, being in Florida, things opened up pretty quickly compared to everywhere else. And I remember when clients would come in the salon, and some clients would sit in the salon, would sit in the chair, and it would remind me of the kid. There's this meme going around. I don't know if you would call it a meme, but it's like a video of a kid who's in the water and he is freaking out and panicking because he thinks he's drowning, and they get him to stand up and he realized that the water is pretty much below his knee, but he was freaking out until somebody stood him up. And when clients will come into the salon, some of them would be acting like that kid. And in order to get them to stand up, I would have to ask them questions in order to get them to stand up. And when they would stand up, just like the kid, they would feel a little bit embarrassed, thinking about how dramatic they were being, until a few questions were asked. Then after the few questions were asked, they realized that, damn, they got me. Some of them just kept with it because some of us are addicted to negativity. So we're going to always find a reason to get caught up in some. But some of them stood up and then, seemed a little embarrassed after they stood up. One thing I would always ask a client is, if you were to turn off your TV and turn off your smartphone or avoid the news, could you look around within your reality and tell that what they're saying is happening is happening? Can you look around and see that? Like the level of fear that they're pushing. When you look around in your world, can you see what they're saying? I'm not saying everybody's world was the same. But the client would say, no, actually, if I turn off my TV, I don't know anyone that's ill. I don't see anyone passing out in the streets. Like, if I turn off the news, what they're saying is happening isn't happening. And it's like, if you turn off the news, it's not a part of your world, but look at the level of power it has over your mind, freaking out, panicking. But that's not what you're seeing. It's like the group think where it's like, we've come to a point where don't trust your eyes, trust what we tell you. And I feel like the 2020 thing was a perfect example of that. Don't trust your eyes, trust what we tell you. Because now enough time has passed for us to look back, to learn from the way we operated and how we showed up. And trust me, I learned so much from that. But the biggest thing I learned that I trust myself. I felt what I felt. I went with it, and I was willing to sacrifice everything for me and not get caught up in the group think. So today's energy brings me to the importance of that, whether it's groupthink when it comes to your family members and your friends or society. Like, can others easily get you to just make certain decisions or changes in your world without fully passing it through you first? When it comes to and I don't wrong anyone. I don't look down on anyone who, got scared during 2020 and made decisions that they wish they didn't. My thing is learn from it and make sure it never happens again. That's my thing. How can you learn from it to make sure it never happens again? Because I don't look down on a person that, felt like, why would my government lie to me? Like, I remember I would laugh to my brother and say, well, maybe something's wrong with us around that time when everything was happening. I would say to my brother, because at that time, there was no proof when it comes to what we feel. It's just, for me, concrete thinking. The math wasn't mathing. But then they would shame you and make you feel like, well, educated people, educated professionals are going this way. So the people over there, they're uneducated, why they're doing what they're doing. So it's like shame you. It's like, why you gotta shame me? Why not educate me and come with the facts? Why you gotta shame me into submission? And you could tell when somebody full of crap and they lying to you, because they will try to shame you into submission opposed to informing you and educating you. Inform me, educate me. The minute a person tries to shame me, to me is a sign that, stick to my guns with what I'm doing, because clearly they don't know enough about what they're arguing to educate me properly or guide me in the direction to go get properly educated. If shaming is the approach to get me to submit, bye. You can't shame me into submission. So when it comes to the tarot for today, we have the Knight of Pentacles in the reversal position. So there's something about this breakaway of stability, breakaway of security. I think of like some secure thing, some falling away of a thing, like something about it. My attention again is brought to cycles, something about systems and cycles. And with the fire ant energy, like I said, today's energy brings me to groupthink, something about groupthink, where it's like collectively, because when I look at the planetary energies and how the whole soul above, soul below thing, and was it in this video or last video, I was speaking about me watching Barbie World for the first time. Check out that video from yesterday if you want to know more about that. But what I will say with the Barbie World also that I forgot to say in yesterday's video, I like how it showed the as above, as below aspect within the movie, where it's like within their world influenced our world and our world influenced their world. And for me, I believe that instead of past lives, I believe we have lives that are all simultaneously happening at the same time. And like a butterfly effect, they affect and influence each other. And when I look at, say, the T-square with the planets, when I look at what the planets do, to me, it's just like with the weather. With the weather in the sense that, say, for example, when the weather is doing what the weather does, there's a potential for it to rain. And the potential for it to rain, or not even the potential for it to rain, based on the weather, we'll have rain today. but the rain isn't anything major. But just for the simple fact that the sky is fertile enough for rain, I think about how there's certain technologies that they'll use to impregnate I forgot what it's called. It'll come to me. But is it called seeding? But they'll have certain technologies that will enhance what's already happening. And from that, I personally believe, I remember like 5 years ago, me and someone who I really look up to got into our first and only argument because I was saying that I believe that, I think there was like a really bad storm that happened somewhere. And I was like, what a coincidence that the storm seems to devastated people, meaning it happened in certain places where people happen to want their land. And I just felt like it seemed so suspicious. It just seemed suspicious. And the person was pretty much trying to shame me, telling me that I'm a tinfoil wearing blah, blah, blah. And the government would not be doing that and not tell us about it and this, that, and the next and whatever. And for the first time, we had our first disagreement. But for me, it's like, it just felt like common sense. Like, how could you not question that? And when I look at this, the natal chart, to me, is similar to the sky and the weather. And when I look at the T-square happening between Mars in retrograde and Cancer, Pluto in Aquarius, and the moon conjunct Chiron in Aries, to me, I think of how within our world, those who operate our world, of course, they're aware of these energies, just like how they're aware of what's happening in the sky to influence it as far as the weather is concerned. To me, this is weather, the astrological placements. It's a forecast. So they're aware of that also. So with that T-square happening, to me, it's like the possibilities in the sky of rain, or there is rain, and I could just influence the rain and create a storm and tear ish up and devastate places and people and get what I want by tapping into the energy that's already present. With the energies within the planets, to me, it's the same thing. Certain planets are in certain positions and they create certain aspects to each other. And that aspect creates an environment that has a potential to make certain things happen. And then you influence it. So say, for example, with Mars in retrograde and Cancer in the T-square, this energy naturally will support some kind of conflict, the start of a conflict, the brewing of a conflict. So knowing that, why not influence how big the conflict is? So with this energy, it could be a simple conflict where, maybe you get into an argument with your mother or your friend, or there's a power struggle with the people that you live with or the people within your house. But like those that have the ability, the power to influence our world, instead, why not? I think of, I was watching this interview the other day, and this reporter was interviewing, Candace Owens was interviewing this guy who was in the military. And when he was 20, him and his team was sent on a mission. And pretty much he was talking about how our own, those who run, the side he was supposed to be on, pretty much set them up to create a situation to start a conflict, to start a major conflict. And how for years, like him and the others have been silenced and haven't been allowed to speak on it. So with this energy, with the T-square energy, I think of, just like how there's possibility for rain and they'll influence the sky to really, to create major storms. I think about how like the T-square will happen and they'll influence things within our reality. Like, for example, with the interview that I watched, and the guy talked about how they blew their boat up and whatnot. That's the same way how, one thing could create another thing where the people are like, well, they did it to us, let's go get them. And some of us might feel like, but this doesn't add up. Why would they do that? And how comes this and that and that and that and that? And we're doing the math. And it's like the math ain't mathin', but everybody is like, charge, go get him. Okay, well, let's go get him because everybody said go get him. No, stop and stop and do nothing if it don't add up and make sense to you. Don't get drunk off their rage and get caught up with what they're caught up with, because they don't even realize that, you know, somebody put a battery in their back and is sending them over there. They don't even realize that they're not going over there on their free will, their own free will. So it's important not to get caught up in that group thing. Even if you're not telling anybody else how you feel or what you think, it's important not to, you know, allow your emotions to get caught up in it and take action from that space, and just become aware. You know, pay attention to how easy it is for us to be manipulated and influenced. Pay attention to how easy it is. I like to reflect on times how other people or situations will get me riled up. Like, I remember that happened to me with a family member, knowing that the old me could be a hothead and be real quick to go defend something when it comes to the people that I love. Pretty much put a battery in my back to send me to go over there to go blow ish up. And it did work, but then that was the last time that ever happened, because I stopped and realized how I was manipulated to go over there and flip stuff upside down. You know what I mean? It's like, reflect within yourself and reflect on past experiences where you may have overreacted because someone told you something and you reacted to what they were saying, even if it was in the name of protecting someone or something that you love. For me, reflecting on situations and times like that helps me to take my power back, because like I said, if you are aware of your weaknesses, no one can use them against me. For me, I know that one of my weaknesses, I don't like to see people being bullied. I don't like to see people being taken advantage of. I don't like to see people being hurt. So it's like, whenever I see things like that, or I don't like to see children, and I don't like to see children cry. I don't like seeing children cry. Like, I don't like seeing children hurt, taken advantage of, any of that. So it's like, I'm aware of my weaknesses. So I'm aware how easy it is for someone to get me riled up when it comes to certain things. And it's important for you to know that about yourself, so that you know when it comes to certain things, you know that's your weakness. You know that people could easily control you through that thing. So whenever you're dealing with that thing, you become more present than normal. You become more still than normal. You become more observant than normal when you're dealing with in those environments, because you know that's where it's easy for you to lose yourself. It's important for us to know ourselves. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a pink heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.